Okay. I think that we are officially going live. Let me just check in on all my things. We're live. We're live. Okay, we're live. We're live. All right. So, have it cheese. For those of you who are catching this for the first time, this is actually the first time that we are doing this particular live on YouTube. Normally on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock Pacific time, I get on Instagram to do a live chat where we hang out. I do an oracle reading for the week, and then we just do witchcraft Q&A conversation as we want for usually an hour to an hour and a half. Sometimes we've gone a little over and done 2 hours, where we just hang out for the day and talk about witchcraft. So because of the hot mess that Instagram seems to be when it comes to trolls on lives, it just became really arduous. It became a huge energy drain to be dealing with constant like onslaughts of trolls. So I decided to move it all over here. I'm going to keep announcing it over on Instagram that we're going to go live on this day so that they can come over here. The link to this will be on Instagram in our link tree, and it'll be, in a link tree and also in the story for the day. But for the most part, we're here. If you haven't caught us here on YouTube and this is your first time, welcome. Subscribe, ring the bell, do the little thing. I don't know. There's so many different buttons that YouTube wants you to like hit now, but subscribe so that way you know that we're going to be doing this every Tuesday at 1 o'clock here at YouTube live. And I see a few of you coming in. Tasha, welcome. Angela, welcome. Marilyn, Skylar. I'm so glad this is your first live, Skylar. Welcome. Cami, welcome. Tarot under Candlelight, beautiful name. And Lissem, I think it's Lissem, beautiful name, beautiful. Welcome. So yeah, here we are. It's probably going to be slow going the first couple of times because it's definitely going to be a little bit of an adjustment for people to move from Instagram over to YouTube. It's just a different place, but it's a little bit of a cleaner place in terms of we have been doing we've been doing lives both on Instagram and on YouTube for months and months and months and months now, because on Fridays we do a live guided meditation here on YouTube. And YouTube is just cleaner in terms of we just don't really get the trolling situation that we've gotten over on Instagram. So officially we're here. We're here from now on. I'm not going to be doing any lives on Instagram anymore unless some special event or reason comes up to do that there. It's all going to be here, but I'll link to that. Again, I said it before, I'll link to that on Instagram so that you know. If you subscribe to our channel here, we, under our little community section, you know, when you land on someone's YouTube page and you've got the banner and you've got all of the videos that they've ever done, there is that tab where it says community. We will post a reminder every week that we're going to be doing this on Tuesday so that you catch it. So, and I believe that if you follow us, that shows up on your home page as well. So hopefully we'll see how it goes. All right, let me see. Elsbeth, welcome. Hello. Thank you, Cami. Yeah, this is how long has it been now? What's today? Today's the 12th. So this is 2 months. 2 months and 4 days of growth. It's amazing. I have always felt that my hair grows really quickly, because I would dye it and literally within a week and a half I'd have to like start thinking about dyeing it again because you'd see it. But I think it's because of the contrast. But this is feeling like it's taking a long time. Like I'm ready for it to be halfway through because I'm loving the women that I'm seeing who are growing out their gray and they have like half gray, half whatever it used to be. That double tone thing is looking kind of cool to me. So I'm looking forward to that happening. Hey, Joel Mar, welcome. Welcome. Bright Tuesday to you as well. Tam, welcome. It's great weather. It's beautiful. It is super bright, super sunny, but it's like 51 degrees. I am freezing. I've got my heater up here cranked up to 82 because my little office is actually, I'm lifted on stilts. I'm not even actually quite sure why they did this to this building. The rest of the buildings on this property are not on stilts, but my office is. And the walls are insulated, but the floor isn't. You didn't even ask for this, but here we are, we're talking. The floor isn't insulated, so the coldness that comes up from the ground is crazy. So I have a heater up there, I have a little mini split, and I have a heater underneath my desk that you might actually hear the sound of. But I'm still freezing. But I'm so glad that we're finally having this weather. Yesterday we had a windstorm, we had hail. It's all dry now and it's all melted away, but it's beautiful. I love this time of year. Hello from Canada. Beautiful. Hi, Lady Blind Wolf. Welcome. Tasha, I love that you are going. I know. Thank you so much. I love that I'm going natural too. It was part of I'm approaching 50. I turned 50 at the end of this week. And part of just the warm up or lead up to turning 50 and all the rituals and the assessing that I do and the journaling that I do right before a birthday, it just came up as it's time that I just kind of showed up as more truly who I am, and this is part of that. So there you are. I have been graying since I was 19. All right, listen, let's get into like why we're here. Because it's October, because I love this deck. I'm still reading from this deck. It's Seasons of the Witch, Seasons of the Witch, Samhain Oracle. I might have to start wearing my readers on these lives, so bear with me. They just put out, maybe it was a few weeks ago, their Yule season deck that I have. It is beautiful. So trust and believe that probably by like the middle of November, I'll be using that deck because it's gorgeous. But this is what we're using for right now. So I'm going to start shuffling a little bit while I look at what's going on in the comments. Thank you. Hey Kim, welcome. Yeah, thank you for the happy early birthday. I'm really, really excited. So some of you know, I know what I'm going to be doing on my birthday, but my birthday's on Friday. Yeah, my birthday's on Friday. So I took off last week as a birthday retreat and I went to Tulum, Mexico, and it was beautiful. I really did nothing. I didn't sightsee. I didn't shop. I would roll from my room down to the beach and then go back up to my room for naps. And I mean, that was my life. The beach, the room. I had a new moon ritual there on my own. I did some personal magical work and just kind of to dig in and to process and to really set the tone for this next decade. But I was gone during my anniversary with my husband. So the deal was that I was having my birthday celebration last week. And then on my birthday, we're going to go out to celebrate our anniversary. So we're kind of switching things up a little bit. Yes, Marilyn, definitely a fellow Libra. Oh, good for you. 46 is a great year. Happy early birthday. Emerence, hello. Good afternoon. Hello. Bianca, thank you so much, sweetie. Tasha, oh, I love this. I know the deck. You get the deck. Get the deck. The deck is beautiful. I will show you some of I've showed this. Are we? Okay, hold on a second. I'm having a little technical difficulty. This little light. It'll be a little dark for a while. I'll show the artwork. This is such a beautiful deck. I can't get enough of it. I mean, I used it for a good chunk of time last year when I was doing these oracle readings, and then I just pulled it back out the minute October was like in the air. I had to pull it back out. Lissom says I need a beach trip. The beach, listen, if you can, any of you can get down to Mexico at any point, Tulum is beautiful. The beaches are gorgeous. It's a little crowded, a little very, I'm going to show my age here a little bit. This has been kind of the topic of conversation as I came back and I was talking to my husband because we've traveled extensively. And sometimes we go to places that are definitely tourist traps. And sometimes we go to places that are out of the way and we just kind of immerse ourselves in whatever the culture is of where we're going. But Tulum is beautiful and it is very much the Instagram influencer place. The beaches of Bali are like this too, where everything is kind of set up for an Instagram photo. Everyone's having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 costume changes a day to take pictures in all these different places, in the hotels and in the beach, and it was a little overwhelming. I was just really struck by, are we ever really present with what we're doing and what we're experiencing anymore, or are we all just taking photos to put online? It was a really strange experience, especially since I did take photos because I'm a photographer. I love taking photos, but most of the time my phone was like hidden in my room and I was like off on my own without having, and this was the point, right? That I retreated and I wanted to disconnect and I wanted to just have silence for a while. So I get that I was in a very different place while I was there, but just the amount of photography and costume changes and everything was for Instagram. In any case, all that to say is that if you can get a chance to get down to Tulum, despite that weirdness that I experienced, it's a beautiful place and it's affordable and it's Mexican food. I don't know if most of you are aware of the glory and miracle and magic of Mexican food, but Mexican food every day, morning, noon, and night. It was amazing. Okay, so let me really quick, what deck? let me get us back on track. I haven't seen you all in over a week, so you know I'm super chatty. I'm going to try to reel myself in. This is the deck, and I'll read what the comments are. So it's, can you see it? Seasons of the Witch, a Samhain Oracle. And this is created by, this is where I need my glasses. Hold on a second. I'll link to this later below in the comments section or in the description box. So it's by Lorraine Anderson and Juliet Diaz, and it's illustrated by Giada Rose. Let's see if I hide. Can it, will it, oh, there we go. That's a great picture. So there it is. I'm going to shuffle really quick while I read some of these comments, and then I will pull a card. Oh, Heather, welcome back. Wonderful to see you. Skylar, again, the struggle for balance to me is real because I rarely take photos because I'm having too much fun. Yeah, but I often regret not capturing more memories. Yeah, I mean, I definitely take pictures, especially of the things that capture me, right? That are just these beautiful, breathtaking moments I will always take photos of because, again, I am a visual artist. I love photos. But it was just this constant snap and post, snap and post, snap and post. And it's like, good God, you guys, like, what is happening? So there's definitely, I mean, please, let's be in the moment. Let's enjoy and savor, and then take a picture or two. Kim, thank you. Kim says, I love watching the transformation of Going Gray. I've been watching this journey on myself the past 20 months. You look lovely. Thank you so much. It's fun. It's kind of exciting. It's like a whole new me that I didn't know was there. Super chatty is okay. Grandma Mimsy says so. That's right, your Emerald's here. Girl, tracking you on all your places and your names. I'm gonna have to have like a little note card that says Emerald's is Mimsy is, you know, all the things. Okay, let me go quiet for a really quick second. In fact, I think I can take these off now. And we'll see what the cards have to say for us for this week. Okay, and here we are. So let's see if it'll show Ancestors. It's a beautiful card. It's the number 3. And I'm going to have to put my glasses on to read it. I've said this before. What they write on the cards never quite hit me, but we'll read it anyway. They hiss a quivering so deep only roots of your soul can lift the nakedness hidden within the vows made in silence. An ancient chill walking upon the spine. It never quite hits me, but that's okay. But Ancestors does, and the imagery, I'll show you again. There it is right there, Ancestors. So this is the time, right? I mean, I work with my ancestors pretty much year round, but this is definitely the time when the thoughts towards our ancestors come up the most. Not all witches work with ancestors. You don't have to work with ancestors to be a witch, but it's interesting. I was having this thought a couple of weeks ago when just looking at what we're doing with the Witches Box, and I've really tried to be again, I want to find a better word, but non-denominational, right? We are not of a particular tradition. I certainly have my practice, but I try to make what we do at the Witches Box as broad reaching as possible so that so as many people as possible can have access to it, but also feel like it's educational or facilitative and supportive in some way. That said, even though you don't have to work with ancestors to be a witch, we work with the ancestors here at the Witches Box. It's a pretty integral part of my practice at this point, and so it pretty much touches everything that I do. And that said, with this card coming up, and because this is the time of the year where we've got Day of the Dead, we have All Saints Day, All Souls Day, we have Hallows, we have the veil and working with the veil and the thinning of the veil. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you are now approaching, or you've just had Beltane, right? Is that true? No, you're about to have Beltane, which is also a time of the veil thinning and working with those beyond. I mean, we're at polar opposites, but they resonate with one another. So we're at a place all over the world where working with ancestors is up. It's common. It's where the reach across and the connection is strongest. And what I'm going to share with what's coming up is just what I've been learning from my own ancestors lately, which is this: the work that you do to heal yourself, to unravel the wounds of your childhood, unravel sometimes and oftentimes the wounds of your lineage or your family and your family heritage, because we have wounds that we've carried down from person to person, generation to generation. It not only helps to heal those who have passed before us, right? There's this idea that when we talk about an ancestral lineage, that it's a linear line, like 1, 2, 3, you're 4, 5, and whoever comes after you, right? But it's not that way, because we've got a massive ancestral line, and yes, it's led to you, but understand that you also have a whole lot of lateral relatives, whether they're distant and you know them or not, that also share that same lineage. We are many in many ways. So you've got your ancestral line, those who have passed, those who are alive today that you may not even know, and those who are coming forward in the future. And the healing that we do can, yes, absolutely help to heal and rectify wounds that are in our ancestral past, but also reverberate out with everyone who's alive today still, who's tapped into that ancestral line. The work that you do when you do your own personal healing has massive repercussions for everyone in your line, both dead and still living and yet to come. It is massive work. It is beautiful work. It is sacred work. And we don't always think about it that way. It becomes very easy for us to neglect ourselves in the messiness, in the noise, in the hustle of living today. But understand that when you take care of yourself, you're taking care of all of them. You're taking care of those who came before you that led to who you are today. You're taking care of those who are in many ways still attached to you, even though they may be living out in other countries. You may not know who they are, their 6th, 7th, 8th, 20th cousin, but it reverberates, because if it goes up, it still reverberates down, and it reverberates into the future. It's sacred, powerful work, and never underestimate the effect that your own personal self-care and your own personal healing will have on countless beings, both living and not living. So that's what's come up for this. That's where my head has been at with my ancestors of late. That's the work that I've been doing. There is so much that we can say about this. We can certainly keep talking about it in the comment section, because ancestral work is, I think, one of the things that the world needs the most right now, magically and spiritually and psychologically. So that's the card. That's the oracle read for the week. If you have questions about that, if you have comments about that, bring them up. We're in the question. I got the little chat box here. I've got my glasses so I can see them. Yeah, I'll keep my glasses on. And if there's a glare, I'll try to ignore the glare. Let's look at the comment section. Let's see. Marilyn just bought the deck. Kim just got the Halloween Oracle, and it's been on my list for a year, enjoying. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, these oracles are gorgeous. Skylar Griego, I have that same problem. There you go. Mimsy, who is Emerence here on our chat box, says, if you only knew what all my names are about. Long story. I'm sure there's a long story. Tam says, I'm turning 61 next week. Congratulations, and just found your channel. Thanks so much for doing all you do. Oh, you're welcome. It really helps me on my quest. 61. So what are you going to do for your birthday? Let's have that conversation. That's a beautiful age. And bullseye much. Yeah. Embracing all paths. Bianca says, I would love to know what is on the Caribbean. Are we north? Oh, Caribbean is north. So right now, where is the equator? The equator, I think, slices through Central America, if I'm not mistaken. So you are in the northern hemisphere if you're in the northern hemisphere, but if, for instance, right now you're approaching Halloween, if you are having a fall season right now, because it's October, everyone who's in the fall season right now is in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, they are in the spring, and that's how you would know. Okay, so Australia, South America, New Zealand, I think a majority of Africa, if I'm not mistaken, I got to think about the map. I think a majority of Africa is also in the southern hemisphere, and then obviously the pole, so the southern pole. Um, mm, mm, mm. Skylar says, wow, I never considered self-healing ancestral work. Thank you for sharing this fascinating perspective. I'll have to journal some thoughts on that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you're not, what is it? What is the saying? No man is an island. You are not a singular occurrence. What you do, the life that you lead, the way you grow and evolve in this lifetime absolutely affects who you come back as later. There is, when I learned this, it was such a, it was one of those like mind blowing events in my life because I had never considered it. In my works with ancestors, I've never felt called to connect with the immediate dead. I feel like there needs to be a time where those who have recently died, yes, should be honored, yes, should be prayed for, yes, should be venerated. However, in terms of connecting with them to work and learn and grow, because there's still a lot of family dysfunction in the air, I've always opted to connect much further back in the line. But oftentimes, some I have names for and some I don't. Those names don't come through. And reading, oh gosh, what was the book that I read that talked about this? I think it was Ancestral Medicine by Dr. Danielle Four. I'm freezing. This is why I'm like, I think it's that book. I know I did a review here on YouTube on that book twice, right? Because I did a review of that book alone, but then I have a review here of 5 or 6 books that deal with ancestral work. So if you're interested in that, go check that out so you can get a list of the books. But he talked about how we have our ancestors who've lived, but when we they keep coming back, and oftentimes you might be an amalgamation of several different ancestors coming together as you to have a life experience. And so we keep cycling through. When I learned that, it was like a mind-blowing revelation because it felt like, oh my God, yes, there are parts of me that are one person and a part of me that is another. And you have all these different parts of this ancestral line that's come together to physically manifest in who you are right now. And when you die, you will do that as well with others who are in your lineage moving forward. And you may be part of several different people in your lineage. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And for me, what happened was it kind of downloaded and clicked where this is potentially why there are some where there is there may not necessarily be a name because they're just part of a bigger collective that has changed and morphed and combined and come apart over time. It was a really beautiful teaching, and it really kind of helped put some things together that I didn't have names for or name for, but I felt when I was working with my ancestors. All that to say that your life matters, not just to your influence and your connection and the things that you do in your life here, but it matters going back and it matters going forward to the entirety of your ancestral line. And also understand that we don't just belong to our blood, DNA, ancestral line. We also belong to ancestral lines of witches. If you're a witch, you belong to that group of people. You belong to that ancestral line of witches and all that has happened and all that has come together and all the wisdom and all the lifetime learning of that ancestral line. And you will be at one point an ancestor to that line long after you're dead. So that also applies to if you are a particular craft person or a particular professional like actors or doctors or healers, you are part of then that ancestral line as well. I can talk about this forever. So let me look at the chat. So yes, I answered the question for Bianca. Skylar, yes, I think I answered that. Cristobal Colon killed a lot of Taínos, yes. So we don't know much of our ancestors or territory spirits. So Bianca, you may not know them in the sense that you don't have a map, right? You know how we have those like lineage maps or family tree maps. You may not be able to have that, and the names may not be there for you. A lot of us don't know the names of who our people were, but when you start to work with them, they make themselves known to you, and those details are important for our own healing, but they're not necessary for you to actually work with them and connect with them. And the other part of it is that because especially the Taínos and most natives have been colonized, violated, murdered, massacred, the history there is incredibly traumatic. the healing work that you can do now can also help to be a salve and a healing piece to that history that you have, that you actually carry within you. Okay, Laurel says, I've been reading Ancestral Medicine by Danielle Ford. That's the book, and I can't get enough. It is such a good book. He did a beautiful job with that book. Wait, I just lost your comment. Oh, there it is. Do you have any more book recommendations like this? Yes, I don't remember the names now because I'm doing 1,000 things in my head at once, but here, once we're done, don't leave now because I want you here, but once we're done here, if you go to the booktube playlist that we have on our channel, you're gonna have to go back potentially like 20 some odd videos, but you're gonna see there are gonna be 2 videos. Well, you don't need to see the one on ancestral medicine, but there's a video where I have 5 or 6 books that are on ancestral work, and I actually have several more that are coming that I bought, so I can probably do a second version of that, because there's so many other books out there on this topic, and that group review that I did was just on the books that I had read up to that point. There is a book by Galina Kraskova, or is it Graskova? I think it's Galina Kraskova. It's a small book. It's oh god, I don't know if it's called Ancestral Veneration. I think it's called Ancestral Veneration. I don't remember. Or Worshipping Your Ancestors. It's a small book, but Galina Graskova. That book covers similar things that the Ancestral Medicine book covers, but one of the things, and I've talked about this so many times, one of the things that she speaks about, especially if you are of European descent or have European descent in your line, that really was a hard-hitting bit of information that I still sit with. She spoke about the fact that at our origin, at our ancestral lineage origin, at the beginning, we were all indigenous to a land. We were indigenous people. And that doesn't necessarily speak to race. It speaks to we were people of the land, wherever we may have come from. So, for instance, as far back as I can trace, hold on, I'm adjusting my life. As far back as I can trace, my people are from the Galicia, Portugal area of Spain. So the Iberian Peninsula, that area. And on both sides of my family. And the people who were there, I don't know that that's the origin of my line, but that's as far back as I can go. And the people who were indigenous there were indigenous there. They were connected to the land. They worshiped the spirits of the land. They knew where their dead were buried. They knew that that's where they belonged, the soil, the trees, the plant life. They were indigenous to the land. And that at some point in human history, when you had all of these indigenous peoples all over the planet, we had this, what I call a religious scourge, come through, and you had at the time, the Christian Catholic Church in its formation at the beginning, come through, and either through through death, rape, through threat of death, would say to people, you either convert or we'll kill you. She talks about the fact that it's a break in our lineage when the people of our lineage went from being indigenous to converting. They betrayed themselves to a degree, even if they converted because they were threatened to die. But the problem is that at that point in our lineage, this is big stuff, and it's really uncomfortable stuff. So I recommend this book just so that you have the experience of the discomfort, because it brings up a lot of questions. So, and I'm giving you a synopsis, like a super brief summary of what she's saying, and laced with my own like response and reaction to it. That at that point in our lineage, when that happened, there was a break, there was a betrayal. And not only were they not appropriated, but not only were they forced to betray their lineage and their indigeny, but then they turned around and they did the same thing to everybody else. They turned around and became the thing that came through and oppressed them and changed them and colonized them. They became the colonizers. And if you come from a European descent of any type, that's work that you're going to eventually have to do. You're going to have to at some point come to terms with that history and what that wound was, because there's a wound there. It's not just the wound of you had to leave your true indigeny, but it's also the wound of then you turned around and you violated other people and did the same thing to others. And that's part of the healing work. So that book speaks about that. Not in major depth, because it is a small book. I can't even tell you. I think it was barely 100 pages. But anyway, all that to say, obviously I can talk about this a lot. All that to say, if you're interested in those books, there is a review of all the books that I've read so far on ancestral work in that video. And then probably in the next 6 months, I'll do another one, just because I'm starting to collect some books in various piles around my office that also continue that work, and by other authors that I'd like to read and dive into. So like that. But let me just say this really quick, Laurel, one more thing. The Ancestral Medicine book is probably the one that I would recommend to everyone to read no matter what. It is an amazing book, and the work that he does and the way he approaches it is excellent. Excellent and thorough in a really beautiful way. He also is the one of all the books that I've read so far that speaks to and gives permission for saying you can work with just your well ancestors. You don't have to work with all of them. You can set those boundaries. You can say, I will work with you, but I won't work with you. Especially if there's abuse in your family and you have people who are abusers in your ancestral line. You don't have to engage and you don't have to work with them. For a long time, I avoided it for that reason. It was like, there are people in my line that I don't want to work with. And it took me a while to get to a place where I realized I'm in a relationship, and in that relationship, there is no one there that has more power than the other. I can say, I'm not going to work with you. It's not okay for me, and I'm not going to do it. And that's valid. Okay, now I took off my glasses, but now I got to put them back on. Okay. Okay, Cami says, any advice for newbies who have yet to start ancestral work? What's the very first thing someone should know? The very first thing someone should know is exactly what I just said, that you don't have to work with everybody in your ancestral line, that it's okay to set a boundary, and it's okay when you open that door to say, I'm only willing at this point to work with my well ancestors who have been dead for a very long time and are enough removed from their human dynamic and dysfunction where they have now been, they're bigger than that. They're bigger than the life that they led, right? So they're not stuck and entrenched still in those patterns that needed healing while they were alive. So that's the first thing that you need to know, that you can set that parameter, you can set that limit, and you can pick and choose until you feel comfortable. And then there is a world where you ally with those well ancestors to help heal those that are not healed yet. And that's part of the ancestral work that you do in terms of healing those that have already passed. Beautiful work. It's really very, very in-depth. The other thing that you can do if you just want to start, you've never done anything, especially now that we're in October and we have Hallows coming up, we have Day of the Dead coming up, depending on where your culture is and what your practices are, setting just a little place. You don't have to have this elaborate altar, although elaborate altars can be beautiful, but you can set up a place where it's just a candle that you tend to every day, where you say, I'm just checking in. I'm honoring those who came before me. I don't know who you are. I don't know how to work with you, but I want to honor you, and I'm open to working with you. Lead the way. They will lead and guide you. It will come in all sorts of different ways, but it'll come. And all it needs to be from the beginning is something simple where you just light a candle and you make an offering of honesty. I'm honoring you. I want to work with you. I don't know how. I'm open to you letting me know how that can happen. Boom. And then, Cami, definitely get the Danielle Four book, which is the Ancestral Medicine book. That book will set the tone and set the pace for you in terms of all the different ways that you can connect and all the different work that you can do. It's a really phenomenal, phenomenal book. Lissem says, my amazing aunt who recently passed traced our lineage on our European line back to the 1100s AD. Feels like a daunting adventure. Wow. That's really amazing and miraculous. So I want to then just take a second to say, I am part of Ancestry.com. You can get your DNA test with them and they can connect you with a bunch of people or help you put together your ancestral line, or at the very least give you a list of all of the different pieces of the planet, or places on the planet that your people are from. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, Big Brother, your DNA's out there. I'm kind of at the place where I feel like it's all out there. Big Brother knows all the things, so I'm not going to hide. I'm just going to keep living. So I have done the test, and it's amazing because you get these percentages, and this is how I know that about 78% of like my people lineage is from a very small and very specific part of the Iberian Peninsula. So it can be really interesting. And it also says you have DNA matches to all of these people. You don't have to connect with them if you don't want to. But what I love about it is that I see such a long list, and it's like, these are all part of my ancestral line, and they're all alive right now. It's amazing. It's amazing. It really gives you such a bigger perspective. It's really, it's humbling. Bianca says, well, I'm loving the way that you are describing the ancestral lines. I want to cry. It's so beautiful. Oh, thank you. Anyone emotional in front of me now makes me emotional because I've been emotional this week, this month really, but thank you for sharing that. Mimsy, there you go. Mimsy just posted the title for the book. It's Galina Kraskova with a K. So did Laurel. Thank you. I cried in the middle of a coffee shop, sobbing in my cup of coffee. The ancestral prayer she includes is really powerful. Yes. Yeah, she did a really beautiful job. In a small book. Like, it was a teeny book. I don't even think it took me very long to read it, like maybe 2 hours max or something. But it packed a punch for me. Like, it was one of those things. If you go back and you see my review, of that book, it was probably a couple of years ago now. Well, was I in Vegas? Where was I? I was in a hotel when I did the review. So if I was in Vegas, it was maybe in 2018. But there's a moment where I have a very obvious reaction to what I read in that book and how it hit me. That's kind of funny. Oh yeah. Kim Patterson. I purchased Badass Ancestors. We did that book too. Great book. That's a good book. See, I just forget. I need to always have lists with me, but it's hard when I'm live and I can't like check it all out. So really quick, I just want to take a pause because there are quite a few of you here. I want to welcome those of you who joined a little later. Hello, welcome. This is part of our weekly Tuesday live at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Typically these have all happened on Instagram, but we've moved it all over here to YouTube because YouTube is just better. And the onslaught of trolls doesn't seem to happen here. I'm going to knock on wood, where it does on Instagram. So we have already done the oracle reading, but if you want to catch that on the replay, you can. This will be living on our YouTube channel. I read from this deck, and the card was the ancestral card. Does it? Oh, there we go. The card was the ancestral card, so we've been talking about ancestors. So anyway, if you have more questions about ancestors, there we go. You can certainly ask them because now we're in the Q&A section. The other thing that you can do, especially since we are in October and Hallows is coming, is having it's called the Dumb Dinner, the Dumb Supper. I don't really like that it's called the Dumb Supper. There's a reason I think that it's called the Dumb Supper, where you have a meal in silence, but you have a space and a plate put out for the dead, for your dead, which is really beautiful. There are some people who really, really just, no matter what day of the week it is, there's always a small plate of food that they put at the dinner table for their ancestors to honor. And then later that food gets put out for the animals outside, or the spirits outside, as an offering. It's a beautiful way to do. You don't have to do, I know that wasting food can be a big issue. You don't have to do a massive elaborate dinner dish, but it can be something small, like a little bit of everything, so that they feel honored. That's something that you can do every day. The candle that I mentioned to you, where you just light a candle just as a hello, a check-in, an honoring, that's a beautiful way to do it. It doesn't have to be super, super elaborate, but the remembrance is where the power is. Oh, I just remembered in the book by Phoenix LaFay, What is Remembered Lives, I think is the name of that title. That's another book that we did and we talked about here. And I think we actually sent it out with our book subscription on ancestral work. But she also in that book talks about working with other spirits. Really great book. We love Phoenix LaFay here at the Witches Box. Let me see what else is going on here. Kim says, yes, I have ancestral medicine on my list. I also have Honoring the Ancestors, a basic guide. I need more time to read. This 40+ hour job takes up way too much time. Listen, I was gone for a week. And in the course of that week, I read 8 books. It was glorious. I mean, all I didn't even shower most days. Let me just put it all out there. I would get up from bed, from sleeping. I slept in late. And I'd have breakfast in bed because I'd have it delivered because it was like I'm gonna have a glorious experience, and I would read while I was having breakfast in bed, and then I would put my bathing suit on, I'd roll my ass down to the beach, and I would read more books there, and then I'd come back and take a nap, and then wake up and read. I mean, I was reading all the time, and it's all I want to do with my life. No offense to all of you. But I look forward to the day that I retire and don't have to work ever again, and all I want to do is just read. Right? That's all I want to do. So I got a chance to read. I did read some books that were nonfiction, but most of them were fiction, which was, to me, felt like a huge indulgence, and it was just this decadent experience. It was amazing. I read some sci-fi. Was it all sci-fi? Yeah, it was actually all, am I wrong? It was all sci-fi, and it was kind of fun. I'm a sci-fi freak, so there you go. Skylar says, sounds like a wonderful birthday retreat, except breakfast in bed. I can't stand food crumbs. I don't like food crumbs either, but they would bring like a really huge tray that was way bigger than it needed to be. So I kind of like managed to like, I'd sit up. I wasn't laying down. I'd sit up in bed, and I'd eat over the tray, so anything that, you know, fell would get caught there. But it just felt so completely different from my life that I had to indulge. Amazing 8 books, bucket list, boom. Is that what I have in that video? Is it 8 books? I have no idea. But yeah, all the books, all the books. Oh no, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you, Kim. Yes, amazing. I read 8 books. It's a bucket list. Listen, I would have kept reading if I didn't have this need to sleep a lot too. And then I did. The new moon was going on while I was there, and we can talk about this actually later. I did a review on Aidan Wachter's book, Weaving Fates. And I spoke about it in the review where I said, I'm going to be doing this. He talks about doing a particular type of magic with something called the Black Book. And I had wanted to initiate it then, but then September was a really big month and I just wasn't able to start it. But this last new moon, I began doing the Black Book work, and it was an amazing ritual and an amazing start to a gorgeous magical working. So this has nothing to do with ancestors. However, if you're up for a really great book and a really amazing way of manifesting in your life, Weaving Fates by Aidan Wachter is a great book. Let me see. I'm so glad for you. I love reading during vacations. It is, right, Nicoletta? It's so relaxing. Julmar says, I curtsy to my ancestors who are resting and to those who rise. Yes, my ancestors. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so I think that you can all still hear me. However, my camera is having a little bit of a meltdown. So give me a second. Tell me if you can still hear me, because oh gosh. This is what happens when... Okay, tell me if you can still hear me, number 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to suffer for art and try to turn on my air conditioner. Because, oh boy, because my camera got super hot and now I need to crank up the air conditioner. All right, yes, you can hear me. Okay, you're not going to see me, but let's keep talking until hopefully my camera chills out. Okay, let me catch up on everything that's going on here. 8 books, curtsy, my ancestors were tranced back to the I cannot say this, Ndebele in Zimbabwe. Years later, I married a Shona. Ethnic conflict with the above. Oh, interesting. Mimsy says, how did you enjoy your books? I loved all the books. It was amazing. Wait, is that true? No, I think that there was one book that I thought was just complete trash. And I just didn't finish reading it. So there's that. What books did I read? Hold on a second. Let me finish these questions, and then I'm going to go to my Goodreads and tell you what I read. Yes, we hear you. Okay, good. So you're going to not see me for a hot minute, but once my camera cools down, it should come back on. Audio is fine. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, perfect. Mercury strikes again. No, you know what it is? Oh, now we're having all sorts of trouble. We may have to end this today. We may have to end this now, only because now suddenly my streaming bitrate is super low. All sorts of things are going on. What is happening with my... Interestingly, my OBS says that everything is fine. but my bit rate is super low. All right. Well, goodness gracious. Hold on one second. Because we're just having all sorts of issues. Traced, not tranced. Okay, got you. Okay, let me really quickly look at Goodreads and tell you what I read. And then I think we're going to have to end this today just because I don't know when my camera will cool off. I need to figure out a way to keep my camera cool without having the air conditioning on. Okay, I read The Dispatcher, which is by John Scalzi, and that is a sci-fi fiction. Oh, I read Warrior Goddess Training by Heather Ash Amara, and that was pretty good. I read something called One-Eyed Jacks by R.A. Salvatore, and that was good. That was fun. Goodness. I read The Veil, which I did not like, by Rachel Harrison. I read The Things You Can See Only When You Slow Down, which was okay. It wasn't great. I read Barrow Lands. That's another sci-fi, and I loved it. It's a short story. I read, oh goodness gracious. Oh, I can't tell you. These two books I read, but I can't tell you because those are surprises for the book subscription. And I did The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. And what am I missing here? I think I'm missing two. Well, the two that I'm not going to tell you about. So that's it. Okay. Camera needs its own fan. It does. I don't know why it's doing this. Well, here's the thing. Okay, I turned it off. I'm going to turn it back on. Oh, let's see. Let's see. In a minute. Okay. I'm still here. Here's the thing. Usually when I'm doing this, it's hot. So I've had the air conditioning on this entire time, but now we're having a cold day. So, we'll see if my face comes back up because my camera is now on. There we go. I'm going to have to go because I think we're going to be breaking down. Well, even cut short, this was a lovely conversation. Thank you, Skylar. Glad to have these moved to YouTube so I could join. Oh, wonderful. Thanks for the amazing discussion of book recommendations. You're welcome. Oh, be on the lookout for a box from you. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, We Can See Me. Thank you. Elena, if you haven't seen it yet, take a look at Spacious Tarot deck. Oh, okay. It is a deck that removes all the people in it so that when you hold the card, you complete the image. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Okay, well, that sounds wonderful. Thank you for that recommendation. Awesome. All right, my loves, this was our first time here on YouTube, and you know, what's YouTube without a little glitch here and there? So thank you for showing up, and you can always catch us on the replay. We will timestamp this at some point so that you can come to the conversation if you need to at some point. But I will be back on Tuesday next week at 1 o'clock Pacific time for another Oracle reading and live Witchcraft chat. And also remember that on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to be doing our live guided meditation as we do every Friday. So we're back with that. Okay. I think that that's it. Hold on. Lasem says, lots of great information today. I definitely need to do more research on my Spanish and Native American sides. And my oldest daughter did her 23andMe, and it was awesome. Wonderful. Okay. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. What do I need to do? I'm going to press this end stream, and that's it. Yeah, I know. Better than the trolls. I'd rather be here. So there you go. I'm glad. Thank you for being here, and thank you for doing the transition with me. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye.